It's Victory Monday. Welcoming everybody to a brand new episode of the Pack-A-Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at AndyHermanNFL. Let me start off by apologizing for yesterday. It came to my attention from many of you, whether it be on Twitter or in the YouTube comments, that I was wearing Detroit Lions colors yesterday, which, yes, very much in fact I was. I was wearing a light blue sweatshirt and a gray hat, which just fit perfectly with the Detroit Lions game. Thankfully, you couldn't see the lapel on the sweatshirt because it was an Express sweatshirt, which, if you know, their little logo is a lion, so it would have looked even worse. So thankfully you couldn't see that. But I realized that I could not have picked a worse thing to wear on Lions game day. I apologize. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. The good news is the Packers are now 1-0 when I've wore team colors of the opposing team on the day of the game, and the Packers are 0-1 when I've actually worn my quote-unquote lucky sweatshirt, the lucky Packers sweatshirt, the day of the game. So all that crap basically doesn't matter, but I will try to do better going forward, and I apologize. Honestly, my biggest goal is just to make sure I didn't wear the same thing that I did the day before. I at least accomplished that, so give me some small ounce of credit there. But much more important things to talk about, including a Packers win over the Detroit Lions, which clinched the NFC North, clinched a playoff berth, and put them, along with a Saints loss, really in control of their own destiny for the number one overall seed in the playoffs. And even some more great news: if the Saints lose to the Kansas City Chiefs next week, the Packers just need to beat the Panthers and the Bears in order to get that number one overall seed. They don't even need to beat the Tennessee Titans, but that's all stuff for later. That's all stuff to worry about down the road. Today we are celebrating a Victory Monday, as well as clinching the NFC North and a playoff berth, which is all stuff that the Packers are more than deservedly capable of celebrating on this Monday. So let's go over kind of what happened in this game, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I think the narrative that I wrote here is we didn't learn anything really from this game, almost to a T. Every single Packers win, the Jaguars was slightly different. There was a couple here and there that maybe were slightly different, but almost every single Packers win this season has been the same exact formula. It's been a near historic offensive performance throughout the course of the season for the offense. Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams are playing on, God level, if you're looking at it from like all Madden on Madden, if you will. It's just ridiculous how well that both of them are playing. Matt LaFleur is calling the games at a record pace, at a beautiful, it's just a beautiful work of art to see game in and game out from the offense. The defense gives you these just mind-numbingly painful moments in every single game, and it feels terrible. When you go back and look at the stats and break down the game, it's usually not quite as bad as it seems. Now, is it good? No. Is it bad? Yes. But it's usually not quite as bad. This is another great example of that in this game, which I'll get to in just a moment. And then the special teams is going to give you their special brand of whatever it is they're doing as well, where they're giving up 2 or 3 plays that just make you pull your hair out, but then coming up, usually Mason Crosby coming up with some clutch kicks as well. This is the exact same formula that we've seen in almost every Packers win. They let the Lions stick around too long, which has also been a trend throughout the season. It's literally almost to a T the exact same formula for every Packers win throughout the season. Play amazing on offense, play average to bad on defense, some ups and downs, more downs than ups on special teams. Let the team stick around, ultimately come away with a win. And let me start by saying Green Bay should not apologize for winning those games. They're 10-3. They're in the number one seed currently in the NFC, and they should be proud of all of their accomplishments up to this point. And they might still be the most complete team in the NFC. The Seahawks have issues. I know they won big against the Jets, but they've got issues. The Saints have issues. The Rams have issues. Like, every single team in the NFC has some issue that could be their downfall in the playoffs, Packers included. But the Packers have been the best of those teams so far. They're a damn good football team. And again, they shouldn't apologize to anyone for their record out on the field. And it should be another win and an NFC North championship and a playoff spot that's worth celebrating. So let's go over the offense. Of course, Aaron Rodgers played at another MVP-level performance, 300 total yards, 3 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, no interceptions, no fumbles, just on the top of his game once again. Davante Adams over 100 yards and a touchdown. Bobby Touchdowns had another touchdown and really the game-sealing catch at the end of the game. MVS, 80 yards, 6 catches on 6 targets. Like, just the offense was humming along. Aaron Jones was over, 4.5 yards per carry in this game. Like, everything on offense was just clicking again. Yes, they had a couple, drives that stalled out, but for the most part, I think it was 7 drives in this game, not including the one that kind of sealed the game at the end. And I think they scored on 5 of the 7 and scored touchdowns on 4 of the 7. So it's tough to beat that. And they put up a 4th straight 30-plus point performance, their 10th 30-plus point performance on the season. And the offense, again, it's a Super Bowl offense, right? This is a Super Bowl caliber offense. The defense, that's another story. And immediately the Detroit Lions go down and score a touchdown on the opening drive with very little resistance. Green Bay had a couple third down opportunities to get off the field, like a 3rd and 9, if I remember correctly. They couldn't do it. Big plays by the Lions again, and a couple that by penalty, or I guess, they called it incomplete, the throw to Marvin Jones, which was very, very close. So there are a couple plays like that. And, they allow another touchdown before halftime to make it 14-14. Green Bay finally goes up, big 28-14 in the game. Green Bay has the opportunity to just kind of seal the game, get it done with. And, of course, the Lions march right down the field, make it a 1-possession game. This is the performance to a T. But then you go back and you look at the stats and you look at kind of the game trend. In the middle of the game, there was a large stretch. I think it was 5 drives where they held the Lions to 7 points when the game was really in the balance in the middle of the game. They also had 4 sacks on the day. They held the Lions to under 300 total yards of offense. It was like 50 some rushing yards, I want to say, for the Lions on offense. You look at some of the stats in this game, and the Packers' defensive performance doesn't look quite so bad. And that's, again, the story of the season. Is it good? No. Is it bad? Probably. Does it make you want to pull your hair out? Yes. But when you go back and look at it, you're like, okay, the Lions averaged 24 points on the season. The Packers allowed 24 points. If I would have told you going into this game, what's a reasonable expectation to allow, for what the Packers would allow on defense in this game, like 20 points would be you'd be like, all right, if they allowed 20 points, the Packers are going to win that game, and that's a reasonable number to hold the Lions to in Detroit in a game, right? Well, they allowed 24, and 3 of those were really because of a large kick return, on the special teams. So the defense really allowed 21 points in this game. So maybe a point over what you would have wanted or expected. So it's, again, I'm not justifying the way that the defense is played. In fact, I think anyone could make a strong argument that the defense has actually been worse than the statistics would show throughout the course of the season. And there's just something that when you're watching it, you realize it's just not gelling. It's just not coming together. And I think, I think that's something that still needs major addressing. But again, the story is that it's usually not quite as bad as it initially seems. And I think that's, again, the story when you look back at this game. And then there's the special teams. Same story with the special teams. There's going to be 2 or 3 plays that make you pull your hair out and get super frustrated with. And then you also have Mason Crosby, who's not, can't miss field goals right now, which is crazy. He comes up with a huge 57-yard field goal, then makes a tackle on the special teams, to save a touchdown. The defense got off the field. So that was a 4-point tackle by Mason Crosby. So you basically have, MVP Mason Crosby of the special teams, and then everything else is a struggle, right? On one of the punts by J.K. Scott goes into the end zone. It was a poor punt in that situation. You also have the large kick return that you allow to keep Detroit in the game and basically kick a field goal to make it a 1-possession game at the end. The onside kick was an adventure, to say the least, at the end. So there was a lot that went wrong on special teams. Your best return did not get, your only return didn't get to the 25-yard line. Your punt return was 2 yards. Just everything on special teams is 10 degrees of difficult, and it just isn't gelling. Same thing as the defense, and again, you're left wanting more. At the end of the day, you still got to win. You still clinched a playoff berth. You won the NFC North. You're in the number 1 seed. So I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm not trying to hedge negative. I think there's a lot of positives to take away. My point being is that the overarching takeaway from this game is it's the same story. Great offense, a Super Bowl offense, probably a 7-9 defense and special teams. And the question remaining for the remainder of the season is one of 2 things. Can the offense be great enough to overcome the defense and special teams? Can the defense and special teams raise their level of play, not to match the offense, but to be good enough to be a true Super Bowl contender? Or does the defense and special teams continue on this path, and does it ultimately be a season that comes up short? I think there's only 3 ways that this can go at this point. So The story's the same. There's a lot of reasons to celebrate, and a couple performances that are really worth pointing out in this game. I think first of all, MVS is one that I think is certainly worth highlighting. I already mentioned six targets, 6 catches in the game, but those 6 catches, one of them was a touchdown. 5 of the other 5 were first downs, and on a big third down in the game, he drew a holding penalty, which extended the drive, which they ultimately scored a touchdown on as well when the game was tied 14-14. So he was responsible for 6 first downs and a touchdown in this game. No drop passes. He did have the 1 holding penalty. It's a little ticky-tacky, but probably the correct call. But overall, just a fantastic game by MVS. And as Matt Schneidman of The Athletic pointed out, this was his first catch, his first game with a catch since the Indianapolis game where he caught and fumbled the ball at the end of the game, basically, sealing that game for the Colts. And to come back, to have 2 games where he had 2 targets and he had 1 handoff, I think, that went for like -2 yards because they didn't block anyone at all in that play. To come back and have that level of confidence and play the way that he played, the catch in the end zone was phenomenal. He had a huge catch on 3rd and 14 for 22 yards, I want to say. Just everything he did in this game was really, really good. And we've all known MVS can be good and is talented, but it's the consistency that's avoided him. And I thought this was his most consistent game as a Green Bay Packer, and you love to see that. And I mentioned as well, he may not ever, I don't know that that's fair, but maybe he's not that number 2 wide receiver, right? But when he slots in that number 3 wide receiver role, it is a phenomenal position for him. And when you have Adams, Lazard, and then MVS as your 3, that is a very potent group. And you add in Tunyon and Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams and the rest of the core of that offense. Oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers, that's a really talented offense, and MVS is certainly a big piece of that. Devontae Adams, what more is there to say for him? Just another tremendous game, and just the touchdown play to start the game and go 7-7 and tie things up early in the game. Just, by the time Amani Oruwariye, reacted to that ball, Devontae had already caught it, was running up the field and starting to attack the safety. And then he erases the safety, goes for a touchdown. Just everything is so slow for him right now, meaning that the game is just slowed down. And he's playing at such a fast pace. And even though he's not a 4.3 40 guy, he's a 4.57 when he tested. He's probably slower than that now. He's faster than everyone on the field because of his mental processing, and the game is just slowed down for him. And it's just beautiful to watch. And I'm not Chad Ochocinco, and I'm not going to have tears rolling down my eyes watching Devontae Adams, but he's an artist out on the field, and it's just so fun to see the level of football that he's playing at. He had, the first wide receiver with 6 catches and a touchdown in 8 straight games in NFL history. Not Jerry Rice, not Randy Moss, not Marvin Harrison, no Packer receiver that's played with Favre or Rodgers, no football player in history did what Devontae Adams did. That just shows the level of success and sustained success that he is having week in and week out, and he's just really an unstoppable force out on the field right now. Really quickly, 2 players trending up, or one trending up, one trending down. Really like what Dean Lowry's done the last few weeks. I was really tough on him the first, 10 games of the season. I thought these last 3 games he's played much better, had 2 really nice back-to-back plays in this game, including a stop right at or around the line of scrimmage and then a sack. And then, again, this seems to be his 3rd straight game that he's probably going to grade in the positive. I'll see what happens later this week. And then Chandon Sullivan, kind of the flip side, really struggled. It was in my bottom 3 grades the last 2 weeks. I thought he struggled in this one. Teams are starting to target him. He's susceptible to double moves. I'll kind of wait to pass judgment on either good or bad until I see the all 22. But at first glance, it kind of seemed that both of those players were kind of continuing their trends and their similar trajectories, if you will. 2 injuries. Chandon Sullivan did leave this game with a hip injury, did not come back. Rashawn Gary also missed playing time in the second half due to an injury. I asked Matt LaFleur about it after the game, and he said he just had a little something. Hopefully that little something doesn't turn into a big something, and Gary can be back sooner rather than later, because he's becoming a force off of the edge and can certainly help this Packers team down the stretch. That's going to do it for me. Enjoy your Victory Monday, everyone. Make sure to check out Dan, Matt, and Janelle wherever you get your favorite podcast, breaking down the win in its entirety. I'll be right back here tomorrow for an all-new Pack-A-Day podcast. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.